Hello, this is Tony with Kate's Crafted Closet with another tips, tricks, and techniques with T, or as I like to call it, TNT with T. So today I'm going to show you how I embossed with heat embossed these wood stickers that I picked up from the Dollar Tree for your projects. You can use them for cards, you can use them for tags, you can use them for anything you want to do, mixed media. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to put these to the side. We're going to do all three of them for today's video, and I have some other options that I've done that I'm just going to show you and explain to you what I did with them as well. So first thing we're off is I'm going to show you the pack of stickers. This is what they look like. They're from the Dollar Tree, and then buy the stickers, and they're all wooden, and they have little adhesive circles on the back as well in case you want to keep them. So the first thing, let's go ahead and go with the ghost. So we have our ghost. I'm going to pull out some white embossing powder, which is Ink on 3 Arctic White. I'm going to bring in a coffee filter, and I'm going to bring in my VersaMark Dazzle Watermark stamp pad. This is just a frost because it's going to have a little bit of a shimmer to it, but any embossing pad that you have will work. So I'm just basically going to put it right into my ink pad like this. Because this has a little bit of a sticker on it, it kind of acts like a handle, so to speak. But if you prefer to do it the opposite way, you put the pad directly to it, you most certainly can. But that's like a preference, completely up to you. And if you want to do multiple ones at a time, you can, because this ink does stay wet for quite some time. And I'm just going to drop it into my embossing powder, and I'm just going to tap, 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 and it pretty much should be covered. And if it's not, just throw it back in there and add some more embossing powder to it. I'm just going to close that up because we do not want it going everywhere, and I don't need a coffee filter for that one. But I'm just going to go ahead and turn my heat tool on, let it get hot for a second or two, and because that sticker down there, it won't move on you, so it's not going to fly too much, but a little bit, so it's not going to go completely off of the table or your work surface. So it acts as, so that is what it looks like, white, and I think that's awesome. And I'm going to show you some of the other options that I did with other white embossing powders and some of the little tips and tricks that I have along with it. So there we go, just plain white. This was a embossing powder called Antiques Frosted Crystal by Ranger. And I don't know if you can see that, but it has a little bit of shimmer to it. I will have to say that I did it by itself, and it's more clear, and you just see the shimmer, so you lose the white, so you just get the wood veneer look to it. And if that's what you're going for, you most certainly can use that. Next, I have this holographic embossing powder from Ranger, and this has a lot of sparkle in it, and depending on which way you move it, you're going to get different colors of that. So hopefully you can see this on camera. This is I like that one. And this one was also a white one that is from Ranger as well. It's called Bridal Tinsel. And it also has a lot of shimmer to it. So that one was a really nice one as well too. And the last one I did with white was this one. And I like this one for a different reason, and I'll tell you that in a second. This is a Seth Apter embossing powder baked texture called Blizzard. So I'll kind of show you what it looks like on the inside. When you heat emboss it, it leaves a little bit of texture to it. So that's kind of like one of the reasons why I like it, because when you touch it, it has a little bit of roughness to it and texture. So that's kind of fun. And all that aspect. It's not as white as the other ones, but that's okay. I'm okay with that too. So I'm going to give you another option that you can use if you do not have a holographic white embossing powder or anything of that. You can most certainly go ahead and put your stickles on top of that if you have that or anything of that nature. But another option is to go in with your liquid pixie dust from Ink on 3. And I just have some in this palette, and I'm just going to stir it up and apply this with a paintbrush. It's going to be a little bit of a slick surface, so it's not going to stick as well, but it still will work. It still will work. You just have to, I'm going to heat it with the heat tool. That way it'll dry for us and it doesn't go everywhere. But it will work. But remember, it's a little bit more of a slick surface, so it won't absorb in, but it will stay on top of there. So just use your heat tool, and just remember that's going to reactivate your embossing powder as well, so don't touch it. And in fact here, it's giving me some little bit of the ink liquidy stuff, the glitter aspects of there on it, like giving me a little bit of texture, so I kind of am liking that. But that's another option for you to go ahead and use your liquid pixie dust on it. So the next thing I have is we're going to go with the pumpkin, and with the pumpkin embossing powder I'm going to use from Brutus Monroe called Twisted Tangerine. So it is orange with a hint of gold into it, and I would say with this one I did go ahead and emboss this several times just to get a smoother look. So I just wanted you to give you that option, that the more times you layer it, the smoother out it's going to be for you. So we're just going to go ahead and grab our embossing pad as well. Again, I'm just going to dip it on here so I think it's all covered, and then I'm going to close it up because we don't want embossing powder everywhere on it. And then we'll bring in our coffee filter, and I'm going to just, it's easier to do it this way. I tried pouring it and it was like getting all over my fingers and going everywhere, and I'm just going to drop it in there, push and tap off. It's going to get on that adhesive back there, and I'm okay with that because I can just peel that off. And I think I got good enough coverage. And always put this back into its container before you turn on that heat tool. I promise you, you won't regret doing that. Otherwise, you're going to have embossing powder everywhere. And I do mean everywhere. So, got that. Let's go ahead and heat up our heat tool. And we're going to melt that. And like I said, the more you add layers to it, the more it's going to smooth out. You'll see on the first one that it's not as smooth as the example that I showed you. But you can just, like I said, keep adding layers on top of it and it'll smooth out. And I don't mind the first layer. It's cool. It has a different look and feel to it. So there you go, and there you have it. Like I said, I would add another layer or two to that and get another look to it. So the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to do one of the bats. So here we have a bat, and I'm going to use I think it is Raven. Yes, Raven from Brutus Monroe embossing powder. Right here, this is kind of what it looked like with the Raven. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and open that. Let's go ahead and ink up our bat with our embossing powder. I'm just going to leave it there for a second. Bring in our handy dandy coffee filter. Sprinkle some on the top. Make sure we have a good layer that we don't have to spread it around. And we can just go in and dip until it's covered. And if you want to, you don't have to tap it off because you might want a little bit of texture to it and unevenness, and that's totally fine and okay if that's what you want. And remember, always put your embossing powder back into your container. I don't know if y'all ever have the same problems. Like, you ever had the problem when you try to pour your embossing powder back into a container and it just doesn't go in the way it should and it goes everywhere? Yeah, I've had that happen to me more than one occasion. And we had some stray embossing powders, just kind of move that to the side just so it doesn't get embedded to my surface here. And here I'm just using a tile, ceramic floor tile. So that just kind of shows you what it looks like in black. Again, you can also add liquid pixie dust to that, and we'll go ahead and do that to this one. And we'll push it to the side because we'll just let it dry naturally. And then I'll show you another thing that I did. If you don't want those little things to dry, you can just dab it off a little bit, but I'm okay with it. Like I said, it's a slicker surface than it is without the wood. And then I'm going to show you another thing that I did. This is a black embossing powder with sparkles in it. This one's called Whispers Black Sparkle. And I will link all the products that I used today in the description box below. I'm liking this one a lot. Really got a lot of dimension. And liquid pixie dust is awesome. Give a little bit more areas where the see how the glitter puddles up in that one little spot. I can fix that after it dries a little bit. Just spread it with your fingers so it doesn't pool up, and you still get you just get a different look to it. But they're both amazing. So here is back to our examples, how everything looks. So thank you again for joining me. I hope you like this tutorial. If you do, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to the channel. And when that notification bell comes up, you want to go ahead and press that so you don't miss a video. And again, thank you again for joining me. Y'all have a crafty day, y'all.